What on earth is that? It's a Journey into Comics Network production!
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
Brought to you by the power of the Journey into Comics Network. This is the Journey into Comics podcast, the show that's 100% dedicated to everything nerd. With your hosts, the Podfather, Nate Phillips, the Podmaster, Brandon Stone, and the Journey into Comics Network stepdad, Tyler McLaughlin.
Time to make the chimichangas.
30 seconds.
Hey.
Excellent!
Finally.
What did you do?
And here we go.
Can somebody tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press? This town needs an enema.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Journey into Comics. Hey, it's Journey into Comics 310. I'm your host, Nate. Today, joining me, the other half of the two-man power trip. Welcome back once again, Brando. How's it going, brother?
It's going all right, man. It's been a pretty busy week for me. It's been hard to do anything creative or content-wise. We tried to do a podcast all week. You and I did.
It took a lot. It took a lot to happen.
It even took another podcast getting canceled for us to be like, all right, hey, we made ourselves available for that one. We were good. Let's just slot the one we couldn't do all week right in. So now today we don't have to do two. We only got to do one.
Which is nice. That is a nice kind of break. It was really fun to have been a guest again on Game Addicts. It's you and I are always talking in these little windows in this current era of the world, but the shows are always so different, and I love just being a part of that experience. To touch on like not that side of things, I just want to talk about how I've been trying to be healthier for just like a second. I've, for the most part, cut out pops. Like I maybe have like one or two Pepsis a week now. If I'm like, but like I had done really well, like kind of break. Tyler got me on the no pop at all train, and I cold turkey like was like 43 days I think without pop, and then I was like, I want a Pepsi. I need to have a sip of Pepsi.
And then as soon as you have one, it's like,
I probably should have another at some point in the near future, But like I've cut cookies and stuff like that out, trying to eat less sweets and things like that. My sweet tooth is decaying, and while my sweet tooth is going away, I will tell you, Brando, that because of what we just experienced, and spoiler alert, maybe this might be an episode worthy title, I think I have a sweet tooth for vengeance now. If you know what I'm saying, because we just got to experience, and I don't know if you were watching along in real time, listener and Brandon, I don't know how everybody experienced this event. But DC FanDome happened. And in the weirdest twist of things, this was supposed to be technically, if the original plan would have come to light, we would have had a very packed week. We would have been finishing the Ghost Rider series and then had all of this to dive into.
Yeah. Tyler got forced to work at the last minute, and we have made the commitment to each other that if we're all currently covering a comic book and trying to review it, we're not going to continue it on if one of us can't make it. And hopefully the three of us won't have we're not going to have too many weeks where we can't do that if we're already in the middle of like of a review. So we're usually pretty good at letting each other know when we can't make it. And what I will say from my own perspective, if it's ever a last minute thing where I can't make it, I'll definitely try to send notes or my thoughts. That way you guys can still cover something. But I'm not expecting that from you guys.
You're like, hold on, Brando said in his text that he thinks this is bullshit. That's all he said.
What wasn't bullshit was all the awesome stuff we got this week. I've heard two things. I've heard this was the most amazing thing that we've seen in a long time. Another thing, it's like maybe we're just so starved for anything right now in the realm of entertainment or even nerdom or geekdom, that all of this looked amazing just because our bodies are ready for it. You know, it's like we just need it.
I guess that I agree that yes, we do absolutely need it, and it's an amazing time for DC really to capitalize being able to have an event like this. Like, I'm sure that maybe when 2020 first started and there wasn't the whole pandemic, there was probably talks to actually do this as an event.
Sure.
You know, and then and I, you know, or maybe they were going to do these panels at SDCC, however it was going to go down. Obviously things changed, and they were really smart to pivot and say, well, we're not going to not talk about the cool shit we have coming up. We're just going to hype it even more and make it even bigger. And the way they delivered, and, you know, were able to, yesterday, the internet was only talking about DC solid for like 7.5 hours. And right when one thing was almost dying down on trend, they'd throw another fucking amazing ember into the fire that would just restoke the flame. It was, listen, we have been critical, Brando, you know this. We've been very critical of DC and some of their missteps in their movie universe. Now, while their TV universe is great, their comics have done amazing things in different segments, but never consistently. This is one of those things where they came out swinging and did not stop swinging.
The thing is that I feel like we have been fair. I don't think that we've been overall overly critical, because me and you defended BVS from all the hate.
Yeah.
Was it the fact that it was a 10? No, neither one of us think that. But we didn't deserve that just because it wasn't what we were used to from Marvel or anything on that side. It was something different, that it was bad. You know, I don't think that movie is bad. I just don't think it's as good as it maybe could have been. But you know what? We don't always get that. Even on the Marvel side, there are movies that we have that aren't as good as maybe as they could be. But the one thing that Marvel kind of had is a baked-in audience that are hooked, you know. And
once they did it good a few times, the crowd is coming back to see how they continue to do well
and
prove themselves.
And because they have it sprinkled throughout the year, if they have a misstep in the middle of that, that one wasn't as good. But there's still the Captain America movie coming out this year. We're still gonna go see that, right? Even though Thor was bad.
It's gonna be a home run. Yeah,
right. Well, no. That's gonna be Spider-Man. I
hope not.
Well, no, it's home run, home front, run home Jack. I don't know. No, what I feel like is that DC, when they kind of started right at the end of the Nolan verse, the Dark Knight trilogy, you know, if we could be real for a second, we wouldn't be where we are today with superhero films if it wasn't for the Nolan trilogy.
Rebooted the Invigoration 4 and timing wise, because listen, you everyone's going to talk about, obviously 2008 Iron Man came out, made it a thing. Marvel Studios goes on to be on a roll. However, on the other side of things, in 2005 Batman Begins was coming out and kicking all kinds of ass, and everybody loved that movie. There wasn't even a question. People were critically acclaiming how good they thought Christian Bale was in that role in the first movie. And of course, there's some missteps in the second movie. They deepen the voice, some things change, you know. Actually, just recently watched different Easter eggs and details you might have missed in The Dark Knight recently. And the one that I found the most amazing in all of it, because I've seen the movie so many times, it was like every single thing they were saying, like, yeah, I've already caught that. That's cool. Yeah, huh? But the one I never really caught is a subtle thing that Bale did with his voice. And in the party scene, when Joker shows up, and he's trying to take out Harvey and everybody, and Bruce has Harvey in the chokehold. When he tells Rachel to run, he changes his voice to Batman voice. He tells her to get out of here in deep Batman voice. But right before then, he was talking normal. So it's just like this. You see him start the morph, and I thought that was really cool. But yes, those movies kicked it all off to get back to the original point.
When you look at it, because you can also go back even further and say that the Batman trilogy, Dark Knight trilogy, exists because of the success of X-Men and Spider-Man. But that didn't equal success for all the other characters they tried to bring forward. But when Batman
do well,
Well, but with Batman, you had the right mix of talent between bringing in Bale as Batman, great actor, bringing in Nolan, great writer director, a great team, and then
He's also super meticulous.
Yes. When they made the Dark Knight, because you said Iron Man came out in 2008, Dark Knight also came out in 2008, and Iron Man, as good as that movie is, gets infinitely overshadowed by the monster that is the Dark Knight. Why is that movie so good? It's a good script, it's good writing, even better acting. And it's in this humble podcaster's opinion, the performance and the writing of the Dark Knight made everybody else stand up and said, we need to improve our game. And
yes,
when you have a guy like Heath Ledger win an Oscar for a comic book role, it may or may not have led to some more actors being more open to looking at that side, that this is a viable way for me to interpret this art and whatever. And then, of course, after Dark Knight, you have a couple of films, and then you have the Avengers team up, and it becomes a monster. And then after that, in my opinion, that's when the MCU goes off, because then you're bringing in a bunch of other really talented people. Whether that's anybody who participated in Guardians or Cumberbatch, or just so many people that are really great. Even guys that they got early on in the Avengers would grow into their roles. Evans, Hemsworth, even Downey Jr. to an extent. I mean, they would really
encapsulate. It's like absolutely perfect example of an actor who, when Jeremy Renner was first cast as Hawkeye, it's a big like, what? Why? He's not going to do much for me. And then from from Thor, through his journey all the way through, he has one of the most incredible arcs.
Yeah.
Because he is an ever-changing person and character who is dealing with loss and guilt and all these things. It's very, very, very relatable. So
going through all of that, then we get to post Dark Knight, and the MCU is already rolling at that point. But, Warner Brothers is like, we want some of that success over here as well. And we couldn't kickstart it when we wanted to, because Nolan still had to finish up his last movie. And that's going to be his own thing, because that's his thing. We don't want to incorporate and make a universe off of his thing, because we don't want to disrespect him. And I completely get that. I mean, that could have been their opportunity to really kickstart a whole universe off of the Nolanverse.
You would have had to have had Bale all in, though.
Exactly.
Because the minute he says no, it immediately changes the whole. Even though we have our issues with Bale, he is that Batman. And for anybody else to try to take that version and make it there, I don't think it would have worked.
I really like his performance as Batman. And I really like his performance as Bruce, and Batman Begins even better.
It's just the voice that bothers me. It's throughout. When they started modulating the voice more and more and more.
Well, the modulation, yes, but like when he's doing the voice in Batman Begins, it's completely fine. I don't put that on Bale. Then we go into the Man of Steel. That's supposed to be their start. And then BVS. All right, we're rolling in. We're bringing it. Batman and Wonder Woman. All right, cool. But it kind of missteps. And in some ways, I'm trying to figure out exactly why it missteps. In my head, I really can't figure out why that's a terrible movie, other than the fact that maybe it's a bit bloated.
BVS?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, and this is just conjecture. We might be wrong. We might, once we see Snyder's Justice League cut, confirm what I'm about to say. But it's one of those situations where, how do I eloquently put this? Thor: The Dark World for DC. Thor: The Dark World in a vacuum, not a great movie. Doesn't do a lot for everything going on. But when you look at the bigger picture, a lot of seeds and a lot of plot points and a lot of important moments are actually put very strategically in the Dark World, or called back into the Dark World to make it a more important movie, however you want to look at it. But I feel like Snyder has a big plan and is trying to execute the plan. I just think that we saw the infancy of what the Justice League was going to be, and that's kind of the point of BVS, is they aren't that great together. It didn't work out so well. It was kind of hodgepodge, and obviously, again, with the whole Snyder thing, look at BVS. He had to have a definitive edition to actually get his vision out there, because people trashed it. What does that say? that they weren't allowing him to fully tell his story in long form like he wanted to.
Sure, and it may be so. I know some people have criticized how Batman plays the dumb one. And I even said it back when the movie came out. I'm like, he kind of does, but because he's a guy. He hasn't been Batman for however long. He hasn't been Batman. He has retired. I think we put together, and this isn't really said in the film, that he kind of retired after Joker killed Jason Todd or that version of Robin, and then
Dick Grayson actually confirmed.
Dick Grayson. Okay.
There was a headstone in the Ultimate Edition that you see that says Richard Grayson. So
Okay.
yeah, confirmed.
So Joker kills Dick Grayson. Batman beats his face in. Like, that's why he has the grill. That's why he's damaged. He literally almost goes too far because he is that stricken. And he says, all right, I got to be done because I was the reason why Dick died. You know, it's my fault. And that's weight that he carries. So now, what does he have at the very beginning of BVS? It's
the weight of loss.
Well, it's the weight of loss of all these people, and he's looking around and he's seeing these alien-like gods fight each other, destroy this city, innocent people being hurt and killed. And everyone on this planet is helpless, and there's just a fleeting feeling in his mind, I'm the one guy who might be able to do something about this. I've faced
Maybe
people.
I'm not helpless.
You know, I faced people like him before that I didn't think that I could beat, but I beat him. Maybe not superhumans, but Bane or whoever, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and so but also in BVS, they bring it into the modern world and they politicize it. We see Fox News, we see CNN. It gets mixed into the zeitgeist of the political shitstorm. And what do? Some are like, he's our hero. Other ones, he's a monster. And I think Bruce gets caught up in that fear. He's afraid of him.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of new rock stars uncovering Easter eggs, and I just recently watched the BVS Ultimate Edition one.
Yeah.
And they were calling about, the media coverage, and it was interesting because Metropolis sees Superman as their savior, and they do puff pieces, and it's like the one way that he's viewed. And then in Gotham, Batman is viewed completely the counter opposite as this like villain, evil, vigilante that's on the loose, and it's just little details like that. The more we get those details, I think Zack Snyder is a long format storyteller. He can't just get it done in an hour and 40 and give you everything, because he wants there to be big payoff and experience. Yes,
nuance. We criticized some writing in BVS when we reviewed it. In direct comparison to the Nolanverse, where you have big long diatribes from Alfred, that he tells a whole story to make a point, right?
Yes.
And then in BVS it's like 2 sentences, and it's not bad writing, but in comparison it seems bad. Now that we get further away from the Nolanverse, I can look back on that with a little bit less critique. I really liked Man of Steel's all right. It's all right. That's the one I've watched the least. I need to watch it more. I like Henry Cavill more than I did then when I first saw it. I will say that. Henry Cavill, overall, he's won me over.
He's great.
He's my favorite Superman. I love him as Geralt, and other stuff that I've seen him in, like that Mission Impossible. I actually saw him in that. So it's like, no, he's killing it, man.
Most recently, the internet has seen him build a PC that people went nuts about.
Yeah, right. So I have a lot more respect for him. So I want to go back and rewatch Man of Steel with that mindset, and then rewatch BVS before like the 4-hour Justice League Snyder cut comes to HBO.
We're kicking off.
Well, we might as well, because it was one of the bigger things, I watched the whole panel. He brought in all the guests, or some of his guests, to come in and ask fan questions. Were the stars, Ben Affleck is like, he was there and he read one of the questions. Who's your favorite superhero? And he's like, well, Zack's like, besides Batman, Dr. Manhattan.
Okay, sweet.
He's like, he's my favorite DC superhero. And then they had Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, and Ezra's like, are you going to have more of the Flash in the new cut? Just saying. I don't know. Guy's pretty good looking, you know? And he's like, of course. It's like, he said that we're going to see more of the Flash's emotional journey throughout the movie.
Awesome. As
we're
well
gonna
as
see
a new power.
and we're going to see more of Cyborg's journey. And even in the trailer, which unfortunately I have snippets of another trailer that we're going to share with you here in screenshots. I didn't have time to get stuff from this one. In the trailer, we actually see a different outcome for Cyborg's dad. They showed that right in the trailer. It's like, boom, this is different.
Do.
This is a different movie, even though there's tons of stuff that's going to be, oh, I remember that. I remember this too. This is along those lines. Well, overall, it's going to be a little bit different of a feel. And he also had at least two of the people who were really instrumental behind the scenes on getting the Snyder Cut movement going. This Chinese girl, I can't remember her name, so please forgive me there. But he had her on. Is like, did you ever think this was an actual possibility that this would actually succeed? You know, and they're like hopeful, but no. It's like we realized even though they bought a billboard, and when the anniversary for the release would come out, or when a new Comic-Con, they try to come up with something to kind of just stir up awareness. And even another guy that he had on there hinted that Zack even gave him like a little, hey, maybe something like this or something. You know, maybe that'll get their attention, you know?
Hey.
Because he can't really get too involved, but he can maybe poke him in the right way. And because Zack is now that Zack is back and doing this, I'm seeing a lot of excitement from him to be able to fully realize his vision, get it out there. They've got to be careful about what they say because they don't want to trounce on anybody negatively in public. You know?
They can. Well, that might be coming soon though, because in all of the DC news that we have, this is like a little subset that wasn't during FanDome but happened right before. Warner Media officially launched an investigation into allegations against Joss Whedon,
Really?
Jeff Johns, and many others. Yeah, because of Ray Fisher, they are independently investigating all claims.
That's good.
So it could really shake things up in a really different way. You know, there could be big headlines that storm out of this in 2 months. You know,
well,
maybe.
okay, so here's the thing. And we did that whole preamble at the beginning of the show talking about Dark Knight, talking about DC trying to build up to compare to MCU. Because they did Man of Steel, and it did pretty good. Warner had a certain expectation for Batman and Superman being in a movie together. And I don't know the exact number that it made worldwide, but it only made $1 billion. That's the line that I tell people. Like,
Yep.
it was such a failure, it only made $1 billion. Oh, the movie was too long. It was too dark. It was too this. It was, and let me just say, Brando's going to be right here. I'm gonna call bullshit. Is it dark compared to other superhero movies that were being at the time just engulfed with? Absolutely. Is that why I liked it? Yes. DC's always been darker to me, even in the bright Superman comics and just the whole DC envelope, the world itself. It's a little bit more majestic, a little bit more supery, you know, more mystical, more alien powers. I mean, granted, Marvel's no stranger to that, and we've now gone there with Captain Marvel and Thanos and Aliens, Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, early on when this stuff was starting, we were just starting to get there in Marvel, right? So when we're seeing like this stuff kind of like unfold in DC, it seems a little bit weird to start with it, kind of. But that's where it starts. Who was the first DC mega superhero?
Superman.
Who's number 2?
Batman.
Yeah. Then you throw in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
You know, then you're throwing in Aquaman, Flash.
Yeah. I feel like fucking Eli Drake over here. Yeah.
But I mean, like, and then eventually Green Lantern Corps. What I'm saying is, even though they had most of the big starter and headers right there ready to go, and I feel like Warner Brothers wanted Batman v Superman to be bigger than Marvel so bad that when it didn't meet it, it was an instant failure, and they put so much judgment on what was to come. They already had a commitment. And when they got to a certain point and that movie was done filming, and, unfortunately, Zack had a very, very tragic thing happen to him in his personal life.
And I was actually going to talk about that too, because you talked about him being reinvigorated during all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, you have to think that there is probably some trauma revisiting doing this movie, but at the same time,
Cathartic.
making new memories
Cathartic
and being
in a
able
way.
to yes, and to go, okay, this is the headspace I needed to be at when I was in this mode when the movie was getting ready to come out, and I wasn't there because I was dealing with my trauma and all this real tragedy that happened around him.
I feel like they took advantage of him because of that.
They did. Oh, totally.
And then
They absolutely did.
when they had him step aside, they brought in Joss Whedon, and that was their opportunity to lighten the movie up, to lighten the vision, to make it more in line with what is more popular right now. And let's not leave any stone unturned. Is the MCU more popular than DC right now? Absolutely, because they had the role. They were rolling
10 years of a roll.
Exactly. So
that's momentum.
Exactly. That's not saying that any DC heroes or stories are lesser. It's just saying that people are instantly going to put the two side by side and say, well, this is better over here, clearly. And each one has their individual fans to begin with. But to be fair to it, I mean, I think DC deserves to have its own breath. And we got that this weekend. And what I said in the network and chill chat last night, Marvel's in a rebuilding phase right now. They're essentially starting over.
They're the 99 Bulls, baby.
Exactly.
They don't got Jordan no more.
They don't got Jordan.
Retired.
They don't got Rodman. They don't got Pippen. They don't got Jackson. They got Tony Kukoc.
And some guy named Rose.
So now's the best time. And the DC stuff, when it came out, with the Justice League movie came out, we saw that movie together. We actually were really high on the movie when we saw it.
Yeah, it did a lot of things well.
It did. And the soundtrack was awesome. They blended in old Superman themes, all Batman stuff, new stuff. There was they interjected humor into it, which was kind of missing from the last one, and you kind of needed it. Even though the overall universe is a bit darker, it can be a little lightened a little bit. And I kind of like that. I liked Bruce's storyline. I liked Diana's. I liked Cyborg's, even though he didn't get a whole lot. And I even liked the stuff with Supes when he comes back in the end, which is going to be a little bit changed, a little bit different because of stuff that they shot and reshot. But I'm super excited to see what this 4-hour monstrosity is going to be, man. It's going to be a monster to watch. It's going to be
not a movie.
No. Well, the way that they're going to release it on HBO Max, it's going to be in four 1-hour parts. And so that way they're kind of, you can sit down, you can watch it, and you can kind of be done with it and go on with your day, or you can watch them all in a row. He did say, he didn't say at launch, he said they're looking at trying to have a version where you can just have a continuous, like all cut together, super cut, that you can just watch all in one go if you want to experience that way. I'm super excited for it. Because of the missteps with DC, we started having a lot of different wishy-washy of, well, we have another Aquaman sequel, we're going to have another Wonder Woman sequel, and Shazam, and they're all in the same universe, but we're not too worried about linking them to any overall arcing story right now, which is good, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, because if you just sit there, take your time, and lay the groundwork without actually laying heavy groundwork, trying to force these characters into the moment.
Yeah.
In 5 years, you'll have a moment where Zachary Levi and Gal Gadot and Affleck might all end up on screen together in a crazy moment that you're like, holy fuck, I didn't believe I'd see this. And then guess what you've done? You've captured that thing that Marvel had that made it so special and did it your own way. And that's
Exactly.
what they really need to do.
And with DC, in their world, in their realm of Infinite Earths, they have that ability to do this in and out. We can have different thing over here, different thing over here. We can have it. We're literally going to have 3 different Batmans on screen at once coming up because Affleck's back in the picture with the Flash movie, joining Michael Keaton to have 2 Batmans, 2 in one movie. And the fact is that when they approached him about it, they were like, he's probably not going to say yes. And apparently he was very enthusiastic about wanting to do it. And that what they were saying is that when they were doing BVS in Justice League, what I can only imagine is that there's a lot of background turmoil going on with Warner Brothers and DC. That's on Ben's mind. They were trying to nail down his Batman stuff, and he was not really wanting to deal with all of that. He's having personal problems at home. His professional life is not well. His personal life is not well. And that poor guy, what does he do? He kind of falls off the train, man. And he has to go better himself. He has to go get back, gain back his mental stability. We all know he went to rehab. We're all glad he's doing a lot better in his own personal life. And so now when they approached him about it, like, hey, was there any interest? And he's very enthusiastic, and he's looking at the script. He's like, if I want to do it, I kind of want to be a bigger part of it, not just this. I want to have this. And they're like, yes, because instantly now this movie has a much bigger cast and a much bigger star power, drawing people to go see a Flash movie where it's been so many years removed from a Justice League movie. Not anymore, though, because of the new one coming out. It's almost kind of like a cool little refresher of, hey, do you remember this? We did this a few years ago. Now it's better. But
it's also removed from how amazing the Flash TV series has been.
Sure.
It's kind of waned a little bit. It's not the same series it was. And then we got Ezra Miller on the show, which then changed the whole paradigm.
So I read something today, and this is rumor. This isn't confirmed, but it's from the same rumor source that said Affleck was going to be in the new Flash movie. And that this rumor was broke up like a month ago, and they only confirmed it like a week or two ago. That Grant Gustin's going to be a cameo, returning the favor in the new Flashpoint movie.
That would be so rad. Oh man,
and I mean, why not? He came on and did your thing. Go over there. It doesn't even have to be a big role,
It would be really funny because you could technically tell the thing that happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths from Ezra Barry's point of view.
Sure.
And then Grant Barry can come in and be the alternate way that the scene happened, and it's amazing because it's shot for big screen. They don't have to just take the CW footage and superimpose it. They could just go again, which is brilliant. But before we move on to Flash, there's one thing. We were on the Snyder train and talking about the Justice League and all that, but we need to discuss him coming right out the gate with the slam punch of punches in this teaser trailer for his cut, because he didn't hide it to the last second. He didn't wait until an after credits when the music stopped. Darkseid right at the fucking opens the trailer, bro.
Yeah. Well, and there's no reason to hide that anymore, because the movie has already come out. There's enough news and circulation and rumors about who and what, when, where, and why about this movie, and you're trying to entice people to, hey, this thing's coming out next year only on this streaming platform in the States at least. And because that's something he did say for international countries that don't have HBO Max, are working on a distribution partner to get that movie to them.
Gotcha.
But for us in North America, at least, it's HBO Max exclusive. And I do hope it gets a physical release one day, because I would love to buy it when it comes out.
And then one last thing I want to say about the Justice League trailer. Last final thought, unless you've got more, and we'll come back to it. But okay, so this is just the song choice.
Oh yeah.
Now, okay, everybody, it's beautiful, hallelujah, the movie's coming out. Did you pay attention to the lyrics of the second verse that was in the trailer? Because there's technically 4 verses in the Leonard Cohen Hallelujah song. They only played the first and last verse. The last verse lyrics, let me just read them to you. Tell me if it sounds like anything familiar with this situation. Here are the lyrics. I did my best. It wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth. I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah. So he's literally saying, I did my best with the first cut. It didn't go well. I tried to get it to you guys, and it almost didn't come. I'm not lying that the Snyder cut existed. I didn't come to fool you about it. And he'll stand in front of his maker and die on his sword with this version of the movie. And that is very powerful. I was like, very blown away.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the final product is. I cannot wait. I'm super excited. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in from that. As I said, now that the DC EU landscape has kind of been like brushed clean, where we got a lot of different projects going on that are interweaving out through this multiverse thing.
Had some landscaping done.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay with it. Let's go out there. Let's make some good movies. They don't have to be big, super intertwined, all this stuff, because we got a new Aquaman movie coming out. We got a new Shazam movie coming out. We got 84 Wonder Woman. You know, we got Flashpoint. Flashpoint's the one where you can interweave them the most because of the actual story. But the other ones, let's make some awesome movies, and maybe you can do a
Focus on
teaser.
good characters.
Good characters. Just, maybe you can do a teaser, a little Easter egg. Who's this? That's how Marvel got good at all those after credit scenes. Bring something in just for like 30 seconds, just to whet your appetite and going, ooh, just like there was a little tease about the Rock's Black Adam and Superman.
Yeah, Superman might be the antagonist of the Black Adam movie.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's
Cavill?
gonna go that far. If we get that,
But I mean, it's possible we would have Dwayne, The Rock, Johnson, and Henry Cavill face to face. That would be, if you're Warner, if you're DC, that's a home run. Why are you not making sure that?
absolutely. Well, I tell you what, that'd be huge, because Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not only just a really cool guy, really likable guy. He's also like one of the biggest Hollywood stars in the world right now. Like, how many movies has he been in where he struck out?
Couple, but not many.
I mean, recently.
Oh, none.
In the last 10 years.
None.
Like, early on, he's getting started, it's understandable. But, like, once he got rolling with that, getting known as the action film guy, there's a couple films in there that aren't the best films, Like, was it San Andreas? Not the best one. Fun. Same with Skyscraper. Fun. It's not. I mean, Schwarzenegger had a lot of movies like that too. They're not the best films ever, but they're fun.
But then you look at The Rock doing movies like Jumanji,
Yep.
The Next Level, which are both amazing, and him having to play a version of himself played by a version of another actor. Like that's
I like
some
that.
level of talent you really have to touch in on, which is incredible. I want to say, isn't The Rock? He was the guy early in his career. He did Walking Tall.
Yep.
And they had the scene where he's supposed to hit the fucking taillight out.
Yeah.
He actually hit a taillight of a really expensive car out instead of the prop one.
Yeah.
And like they were like, he probably, of course, obviously paid for it because he's the fucking Rock. He has money, but it's still like, oh, I'm an idiot new actor who doesn't know what he's doing. But the tease for Black Adam, awesome. Justice Society America going to be in the movie. Dr. Fate is coming to a movie with The Rock. I mean, like those sentences that you didn't think you'd ever speak. The logo looks really cool. I was it's simple but perfect. Yeah. For them to just sprinkle that little teaser in there was it was enough to wet the whistle, but I want more.
No, I agree. I want more. And if the Black Adam movie, it doesn't need to have Superman as the main villain for the first one. Use that first one to establish The Rock as this character, establish who this is. How many people, not just nerd comic book fans, I know nerd comic book fans that don't know who Black Adam is. Because he's not your poster boy for DC. He's not a super deep cut, but he's kind of a deep cut.
He's like a B tier cut, like B minus tier, like
Yeah.
almost C, but not quite.
And how many of the Marvel's B, C minus tier have now become A tier because they chose it's like half, like most of Guardians,
are mostly Z tier. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, we didn't even get Juggernaut, for
Not
first
yet.
Guardian. Not James Gunn.
Not yet.
On to you. Speaking of James Gunn.
Wow, look at us just like rolling right along here.
Yeah. Speaking of James Gunn,
Sure.
what do you think of that Suicide Squad stuff?
Okay, so lots to discuss about Suicide Squad because first of all, there are so many characters.
Oh my God, so many actors.
So many actors, so many people in the movie. They have different people from different, camps within DC that are playing here. I mean, just to talk about a few of the characters that really brought my ears up. King Shark, if obviously humongous first, like amazing that they're actually going to do King Shark.
Okay, may I just say he's not here, but I'm pretty sure I was sitting next to Tyler as we watched the character reveal trailers for all the different actors and characters.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure I felt the table rise up from underneath me, and it wasn't me; it was him. He got a chub.
It got hard. It was chubbed. It was full chubbed. I'm looking for, where did I put it?
He's a big King Shark guy, and of course we got double dose of King Shark this weekend.
Yeah, I mean it was a lot, but just to go through the different, there's a lot of different characters in it, but you have Idris Elba is going to be playing Bloodsport, Margot Robbie obviously returning as your Harley Quinn.
Yep.
Sean Gunn is going to play Weasel. Spoiler alert, I almost guarantee you Weasel will be the next Baby Yoda. Like, not to say cute and cuddly and fun, but like everybody's going to be obsessed with this character, just as a teaser. I feel like that's coming. Pete Davidson is playing Blackguard. Spoiler alert, don't get attached to anybody. Daniela Machoria is playing Ratcatcher 2. So apparently Ratcatcher 1 didn't show up to work. Joel Kinnaman, which we were talking about last week, possibly being up for the role of Kraven the Hunter, is Colonel Rick Flag. You've got Nathan Fillion playing TDK, which pretty sure that it's spoiling he's going to lose his arms pretty quick. The little funny picture they have, his arms are definitely severed. So I just, spoiler alert thing I noticed. Jai Courtney returning as Captain Boomerang. King Shark is in the movie. They don't say who's playing him, who he's going to be voiced by, nothing. They just say motherfucking King Shark. Mei Ling Ning is playing Mongol. David Dasmalchain is playing Polka Dot Man. He was also in Ant-Man and has been in Gotham and The Flash. So he is the ultimate super. Like, he's been in all kinds of superhero stuff. David Dasmalchain. Alice Braga is playing Solsorio. And we've got one last list of guys who are in this movie. Actually, two more things of people that are in this movie. John Cena as Peacemaker.
That was a big rumor for a while that's who he was playing.
And it's we'll be talking about that in 1 second for sure. Juan Diego Botto as Luna. Peter Capaldi as Thinker. That's a huge one for me. We'll talk about that in a second. Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, which she's just reprising her role, I do believe.
Yeah.
And then you've got a few more ancillary characters. Michael Rooker is going to be in the movie as Savant. Flula Borg is in the movie as Javelin. And then you've got Storm Reed as Tyla, Joaquin Cosio as General Mario Suarez, and Jennifer Holland as Emilia Harcourt. And those are all the actors that were released by James Gunn officially going to be in the movie. Now let's talk about this. John Cena, let's just get into that right away. What a totally different, unexpected role.
It's awesome. Now, see, there's a picture I saw when they were talking about it, him playing that character sitting there with a baseball cap on. And I'm like, and he's all ripped. I'm like, wow, that's not a stretch there, is it, John? But the look that they're going for the character is more true to the early comic book version of him. So, but no, I'm super excited. And you know what? He has to be too, because I know he's been trying to really get his foot in the door in terms of going Hollywood. Kind of ironic because he's kind of following his buddy The Rock out there back when, in a certain time of day, in a different mindset, he was kind of criticizing The Rock for doing that and kind of turning his back on what made him, but here he is. He's in his 40s. He's like, I can't keep bumping forever.
Nope.
And he's like, I got to make this transition because he's got a certain star power and name and value. And he already got hooked in with the new Fast and the Furious movie. He's going to be in that. So that's his action thing. And then, here he is. He got a DC role right out the gate of playing this character. And it could really bump up his stock even more.
All I'm saying is we saw a lot of footage of him as Peacemaker, and we didn't see a lot of footage as a lot of other people. Not to say he's the star of this movie by any stretch. I just feel like, okay, so first of all, we should mention James Gunn himself said this is going to be a 1970s war movie with like comedy and sensibilities of me, which is, that's a mind blower. But also, don't get attached to anyone. Don't be like, oh, I love Polka Dot Man. I can't wait to see how he turns out at the end of the movie, because he's probably not gonna. And spoiler alert, I would say Harley is probably the only surefire won't die. Like, you could almost guarantee they're not taking out Margot Robbie because of, again, star power and all that. But
sure. And the fact that the Birds of Prey came out this year.
And I watched it.
Yeah?
Spoiler alert. Oh, yeah, I watched it.
What do you think?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Honest opinion. I haven't seen it, so.
It's on the Max.
It's on Max, yeah.
And this wasn't something we planned to talk about today.
No, just really quick. We don't need to dive in deep. This is just an addendum.
There's no way to dive in deep to this movie, Brando. There's no deep. The story is told really, really jarringly like it's supposed to be Pulp Fiction-esque, where you're getting parts of the story out of order and then you're supposed to understand the whole story. But while the characters are great, the actresses that are in the movie are great. The choices that they made as far as Ewan McGregor as Black Mask being the villain is amazing. And the movie's very, very, very violent and brutal and all that. It's really not memorable. Like, I sitting here I saw the movie. I know what the plot of the movie is, and I don't know what the plot of the fucking movie is. Like, I don't know what I saw. And that's no disrespect to them. I just think that when they did the creative choice of how they edited that movie, they did it in such a way where, sure, that's how Harley would probably tell the story. It just doesn't pay off for the audience watching and experiencing that story.
I just wonder, maybe, just maybe, it might be better on like repeat viewers, like since you kind of already know the outcome to it and you know how it's going to go, and you might be, and that's not good for a movie all the time. That's kind of happened to me with Captain Marvel. I enjoyed it more the second time. The first time I kind of came out very underwhelmed, and was less so the second time. But it's also not so, and I think I've seen it. I've only ever watched it one other time. I have no desire to go back and watch the movie.
I would give Harley or the Birds of Prey movie a second watch for sure. Like, I wouldn't say no to that, but it's not a movie that, unless I was showing someone else to get their opinion, I wouldn't willingly put it on, I guess, is where I would review it.
I guess it all depends on mood too, because I'm that way.
Yes.
I have to be wanting to see if it's better on another review. And you know what? That's fair. Not every single movie is going to knock it out of the park. And I want everybody out there to know that's okay.
Yeah, not every movie is going to resonate with every person, because guess what? Every person's life experience is different. So your literal frame of mind seeing a movie, how Brandon and I experience a movie, it's the same movie, different experience.
Exactly.
What touches him doesn't touch me, and vice versa. Or hopefully we don't touch each other.
Yeah, right. It all depends on whether or not we're sitting together next, and like in the theater or not. It depends on how much we're touching each other.
Yeah.
Gonna get that little cone flashlight. What are you doing? What? Why's your hand in the popcorn bucket? He's eating popcorn. Go away. It's very buttery.
That's not butter. Ew. Gross.
It's still salty though. Anyway.
Ew.
No, man. I'm excited to see what comes out of this, because I didn't hate the original movie. Suicide Squad. Yeah. Pronouns, pal. But I didn't hate the original one. I will say I watched it with a migraine. And so it's not the best experience I had. I would like to rewatch it at some point. I just don't feel like it was coming out. It wasn't the movie that it needed to be to help resonate with they were trying to build that world, and I don't think it really helped to build the world all that much. Which is why in this movie, it's not just called Suicide Squad 2. It's like, basically, it's a pseudo sequel where they're not worrying about that other movie. We're doing this movie.
And the only thing that hurts, and I guess it's kind of tit for tat, you lose Will Smith as Deadshot.
Which I guess it wasn't that he didn't want to do it. It was more of he had other stuff going on when they were wanting to shoot it. And when he said, I can't, they made the choice of like, well, like we're not going to wait on this forever. You know, we
got to
can't
just move forward. And I'm guessing that's probably where Bloodsport gets brought in Idris Elba's role.
But that anyway, and that's okay with the group like Suicide Squad because it's such a big, huge, sprawling. So like, if I were in DC shoes or Warner Brother, whoever's doing this, whoever's making the calls, I would have done the same thing. It's like, yes, we lost Will Smith, we lost Deadshot, but we have a whole other group of guys that we can pull on to try and like replace that.
And look at what you're doing. You're taking someone who has, in James Gunn, been able to take characters that are kind of ancillary, no names in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Z-list.
Literal Z-listers. And look at some of the names we called off. I mean, who knows? Someone come tell me the historical history of Savant. I want to know where he comes from and all the, like there are a lot of unnamed characters here, but it's all Gunn's friends. It's all the people that know how to work with him, that know how to get his flow. Also actors that are willing to put the time in, like a John Cena. Mm-hmm. This is one of those movies where DC probably said, we're just going to let you go ham. And if it sucks, we'll let you know. And they didn't see any moment of it sucking. And they were just like, this is the most brilliant. How?
I love how you said that he mentioned it was a 1970s action movie because the logo and the flow of the poster give that exact same feel. It looks very like
G.I. Joe.
Well,
not for me.
Tarantino's like Kill Bill or his Grindhouse. Those movies around Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, because when they did the Grindhouse, they did Planet Terror and Death Proof. But then Machete was a trailer, and then they made it into a movie. And what was it? Hobo with a Shotgun or whatever. Like those aren't all done by those directors, but they're all in that same kind of category in semi world where these are all kind of C-list movies you would go see at a drive-in and they would be paired together, as like a bundle deal. And if Suicide Squad is like that, where it's a little hokey and actiony and cheesy, I'll be on board with that.
For the right reasons, though, it's hokey and actiony and cheesy because they meant to, not because they made a bad movie, because the intent is to have that feel.
Exactly.
James Gunn, man, just on it, just on it, and to see where that movie looks. I mean, we didn't see a trailer, obviously.
Yeah,
looks like a lot of stuff is shot, though. Looks like a lot of things are done. He's got to just at this point be really starting to, not to say that he's not out of love with the Suicide Squad, but he's got unfinished business,
Sure,
and that's got to just be sitting on his shoulder, going, I need to get back to the Guardians and see where we go.
Well, sure, but you also have to think that he probably really sunk his teeth into Suicide Squad because when he started this project, he was removed from the Marvel verse or zeitgeist. So this became his new focus. It's like, I'm doing this now. And then he got that back, but as a creator and director, he can't let that oversee or overhang over what he's doing. Go do that. Once we're done with this, it's going to be all about that. But right here, let's focus on making this the best story, movie, action set piece that we can make it.
He also said it was his biggest movie he's ever made.
That's awesome.
Is a pretty impressive thing to say, considering some of the movies he's been involved in.
Well, and think his experience of making this movie is only going to help making the next Guardians movie.
Oh yeah, even better. There's limitless amounts of experience, and then look at how beautiful it is that James Gunn's kind of he plays on both teams. He works on both sides and can be a gap that kind of is bridged there where he can say, look, at DC does these few things behind the scenes that actually really work better. We should implement that here. Or he can tell DC, like, you guys are doing this kind of fucking hokey and Marvel did it this way. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but it works smooth,
sure.
And that's a beauty. I mean, that allows everybody to make better, movies. All about it. But are we going to continue to kind of focus on the Suicide Squad here? I mean, we kind of jumped because while we mentioned a little bit of the Flash stuff, we didn't actually mention that they released the concept art with Keaton's fucking Batman and the Flash.
Yes.
What?
Oh yeah.
I thought that it was okay. So I saw the thumbnail on Comic Book that was like Flash teaser picture, and
Sure.
I didn't really get a good look. My first thought was, oh, cool, it's Batfleck, great. And then when I was finishing my day yesterday, I'm like checking my phone, I'm going through the group chat, and I see that AP says something about, did you see Keaton and Flash? And I was like, oh, what? And immediately found it and was like, this is insane, dude. The logo is the logo. It's the nostalgic feels hit me all over again.
Oh yeah. I just sent you 2 pictures that I found on Twitter. These aren't real, I don't think.
Okay.
Because there's no way that they have gotten this far into knowing exactly what these movies are going to be rated or anything like that. And in fact, they've only just recently have announced that certain people are even on board, you know. But I'm going to put it up here for everybody to see as well.
Holy fucking shit.
These are possible, like, I think there's a fan-made movie posters for what could be. And granted, I mean, we don't have a lot of info. We don't. But first and foremost, let's get that over here. Check that out. That poster of putting in the Batman or Batflex along with Ezra Miller's Flash.
It also looks like Keaton's lips, by the way.
Maybe.
In that bottom set panel a little bit. Might be wrong.
Now, granted, on the poster, it's not really being seen on screen because the image is bigger. It does say rated R. We don't know if it's rated R. We don't even know if the movie is called Flashpoint, which I think it should just be called Flashpoint. That's a good name. But the other image,
sell.
Yeah, absolutely. The other image is the same, basically the same poster, but you intersplice out of like the broken glass or whatever, Reverse Flash.
Yes. Daddy needs some. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, does that not just
it puts asses in seats is what it does, Brando.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It puts my ass in the seat. Now, there was somebody on Twitter responded to that and said, you know, nominating Matthew McConaughey for Reverse Flash. And I'm like,
let me think about that for a second. Honestly, yes.
He's good enough.
Because, let me tell you what role I think he would pull from in his previous roles. If anybody has ever seen this movie, it is fucking jacked up. So just spoiler alert if you haven't, that go in knowing it's a fucked up movie. It's called Killer Joe. And McConaughey plays this like kind of good cop, bad cop guy who's a psychopath that really doesn't only run this town, he kind of owns this town. And there's a really like, it's just dark. It's dark. There's no comedy to it. It's very, very dry and dark, suspenseful story. And that's what the Reverse Flash needs. And if he can tap into that mixed with, you've got to think about Eobard Thawne is crazy because he's obsessed with the Flash to the point that he creates the energy needed to become a version of the Flash and try to kill the Flash. It's brilliant telling, but you've got to really be nuts when you play that role. So I think McConaughey could actually be a really great choice. I'm not going to disagree with that. He
also played I really liked him in the Dark Tower movie with Idris Elba playing the Man in Black. A lot of people didn't like that movie because the movie is kind of a sequel to the books and
not a telling of the books.
Yeah, it's kind of set after the books or a different, like, it's like, hey, if the books didn't, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird how they did it. I enjoyed it, and I'm like, man, this is really cool. There's a lot of people who didn't enjoy it, and that's why we're not getting any more of it. But I think McConaughey would be great, especially if you put him in that role, and it's a role where you can have him come back and do other stuff, but a lot of time, you know, like a lot of these other comic book movies, like in the MCU and whatever, they'll have a villain come in and they're only really in that movie. But they get a good actor to come in and do it. Even though they brought Red Skull into other stuff, but they got Hugo Weaving to play Red Skull in the very first Avenger, and he didn't really feel like coming back for the.
Spader is another great example of that.
Yep,
a one and done.
Yep, Spader. Yep. So it's like really great actors coming in to play these roles that they don't need to make that big, long multi-film commitment to stay plugged in. Maybe bring them back in. You can do one, and then if you have a sort of maybe a loose plan for a sequel or another movie down the line where he can play a role in it, you can lay the groundwork for it, but say like, well, it may or may not happen a couple years from now. We'll see, we'll revisit, and maybe you can get him interested. But I don't know. We don't know who the villain of the Flashpoint movie is. We do know Ezra Miller is in it. We do know Keaton's going to be in it. We know Affleck's going to be in it and being like a mentor, which makes sense because that's feeding right off the Justice League movie right there. I
feel like there's not three movies. There's three different comic stories they could pull from to really make this an amazing new version of Flashpoint that's not the comic accurate version and also not the animated series version.
Sure.
Because those are their own standalone things.
Yeah.
One thing that's big important that you could do is you could kind of tell the Flash of two world story. Instead of it being two Flashes, though, it's two Batmans and Flash is stuck between, the two.
Yeah.
Which could have interesting implications. You also really should consider, and I know that it would maybe be difficult and maybe you'd have to get approval from a lot of different people, which could make it impossible. They should start really teasing stuff for the Button, though. You've got Batman and Flash in a story. Why are you not? If the Button just dropped in the final scene of that movie, the entire theater would explode. Just to see the smiley face blood of the fucking Watchmen pen. Oh, I'm there for it. 10 out of 10 times. And then you don't have to give that payoff immediately. The second Flash movie can have a little more crumblies. And then maybe if they go to the trilogy, the third Flash movie is actually the Button, and then they tell that story and wrap it in a nice bow. I mean, hopefully whatever they do is a smart and well thought out decision with the Flash. I think we have to officially hold full judgment on what's to come until we see a trailer, because as of right now, we just have what we want to see in our heads.
Yeah.
And we could get that problem. We've done this before on the show. The ideas in our heads become greater than the ideas they create, and then they can't hit that expectation. And not often, but it has happened.
Well, I feel like in a lot of ways that's happened with a lot of different entertainment properties. When we get into something and then we future book those things, and you have a different idea, I have a different idea, Tyler has a different idea, they have a different idea, over here Scott has a different idea, and at the end of the day, it's nothing that any of us want or something close to this and there. They had ideas, and if we would have just been like sitting back and just enjoying ourselves, maybe we would have enjoyed what they brought to us. Instead, we hype ourselves up way too much.
Do you think though that the being complacent and just enjoying whatever we're served is why we got the Joel Schumacher movies?
No,
things kind of.
No.
I mean, not to say directly, but I'm just saying, when we were kids, Forever was an amazing film in my opinion. I loved everything about it. It was one of my favorite Batman movies because of all the characters they put in it and all this stuff. But when you as an adult go back and really watch it, there's not a lot of substance to that steak.
Well, go back and this week listen to the episode of the OGs where you and I sit down and watch Batman Returns, and we talk a little bit about stuff that happened, and I'll kind of list it here. When they were doing that original Batman movie and it blew up, was the most successful movie of all time at that time, or whatever. It was at least superhero film in '89. Blew up. Then they immediately wanted the sequel. Tim Burton's like, I've never done a sequel. I don't know if I want to do a sequel. And they're like, please come do a sequel. And he's like, I don't know, man. And like, did I just lose you, Nate?
Nope, I'm back.
Okay.
Hit the wrong button, sorry.
He said, don't do that like you did on Game Addicts. Just hang up the phone call right now.
Well, I went to move my mouse, and it was over the hide video or stop video, and I was like, oh.
Anyway, they convinced him, do your own movie. To make it a Tim Burton movie. And that's why that movie feels like it could be an Edward Scissorhands or Nightmare Before Christmas or, anything
Beetlejuice.
Like Beetlejuice. It kind of has that weird, especially for like Edward Scissorhands, that wintry vibe. to it with the same soundtrack and just movements and tone. But because the movie was dark and gruesome compared to the first one, there's still, I mean, the first one they still shot people for crying out loud, and Batman actively may have killed a few people along the way.
Don't kill me, man! Don't kill me!
Not that guy. He didn't kill that guy.
He did.
But in Batman Returns, he straps a stick of dynamite to a dude. I'm just saying, he killed a dude.
Yes, he does. He kills a guy.
And I mean, we didn't see the body. We don't know if he's really dead or just
Very injured.
Yeah, very injured. Anyway, McDonald's ended their endorsement deal early because of parents, specifically moms, saying that we don't like this. Warner Brothers took that as we need to adjust the tone. That's why when Tim Burton came in, excited to finish a trilogy, he's like, I get a trilogy now. I have all these ideas. Billy D. Williams, Two-Face, and we're going to do Robin finally. He's cut out of the last movie. We're going to do all this. And he's talking about his script. He's talking about his ideas, and they're just sitting there looking at him, and he just finally looks up and realizes, you guys aren't into this, are you? And they're like, look, Tim, we love you, but we're going to go a different direction. And we'd love to have you stay on as an executive producer to help with the change. And he did, but that's why the tone changed. That's why the writing changed. And then we got served that movie. Then Warner Brothers immediately wanted the next movie right away. No waiting. Val Kilmer said no. Number one, as soon as Tim was out of the picture, Michael Keaton was out of the picture. Michael Keaton was hesitant to do the second movie, but signed on because it was going to be Tim again. And he has said explicitly on a podcast somewhere, one, it was Tim, so he was comfortable, and two, the only reason he signed on to this second movie was to have money for a real estate deal.
Damn.
So for a third movie, he already wasn't into it, but if it was going to be Tim, he would probably do it. It's, because at least with Tim's idea, that would have been the last one. Come in, make some more money, then he can ride off into the sunset. And maybe
started. And
then as far as Michael is concerned, he probably would have been like, hey, can we do something a little bit more with my character here? Because he was kind of just there for the second movie. And we talked about that on the OGs. But that's Keaton dipped. Val Kilmer came in, did his job. They wanted the movie right away. He wanted to do other stuff. He dips. Clooney comes in. And Warner Brothers is so up Schumacher's butt that Schumacher gave up. And he's like, and basically would just yell, let's have fun, everybody. And they would do takes and do their thing. And it wasn't anything. What it started as 89. That's why, in my opinion, you have the Burton verse and the Schumacher verse with shared actors, because it just doesn't co-align with each other. Tone is different. Set pieces are different. Characters, in a way, are like the Bruce Wayne that's in Forever is not the Bruce Wayne that's in 89 in Returns. Not just the fact that it's not Val Kilmer, it's a different Bruce. Different mindset, different place. I mean, you still have the same Alfred, he's the same. You still have the same Gordon, he's the same. It's kind of it. And then callbacks. You have callbacks.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think complacency is why we got those. I was just pointing out that we, as Geekdom has gotten so big and now is more palatable to everybody with TV shows, with movies, with everything, that we become too critical sometimes of what we expect things should be. So when we are given these things, whether or not maybe it's not as good, or maybe it was rushed, or this or that, instead of taking a step back and thinking, we couldn't have got this at all. We could be living without the last season of Game of Thrones. We could have been not without a sequel trilogy of Star Wars. We could be not be getting any more Star Wars ever again.
Or Batman ever
or
again.
Batmans or whatever. But instead we are, and we have to decide whether or not we're going to be super picky about it, or just sit back and I'm not saying you can't decide whether or not you like or not like something. What I'm saying is give it a chance. Sit back and maybe just kind of get out of your own expectation a little bit of what things should be instead of the way things are.
Let me leave you with one last question in this. And I know this is going to be like the weirdest future conjecture that you probably will never be able to answer, but Had Burton and Keaton done the trilogy,
Yeah.
finished it, okay, would, considering we don't know what that movie looks like or how it would end or anything, would it have been possible for us to get this moment we're getting now with Flashpoint?
Maybe not.
Because what if they killed Bruce?
They could have.
Or done anything. And
Yeah.
then Keaton said, well, that was a great run. I'll never have to think about it again, and didn't go back.
Well, exactly. Things happen the way that they happen, and now we are here, and now he is coming in for Flashpoint, and we all got nerd boners. Why is he coming back for Flashpoint? Why is he coming back to do movies? Probably one, because he wants to make a little bit more money before he rides off into the sunset with his acting career. Number two, as much as he stayed away from the comic book realm, they even made a movie about that with Birdman, which is an amazing film. I love that movie.
Absolutely.
Then he comes in for Spider-Man, plays Vulture, plays a villain. Has
Another
a lot of
Bird
fun.
character.
He had a lot of fun with that movie. You know, he did an amazing job. He's been in some other stuff too. I'm trying to remember what else he's been in recently that I liked him in. Because
He was in The Other Guys.
Other Guys.
Keaton was the captain of the place, but he also worked at Bath and Body Works. And he also quoted TLC lyrics all the time.
Keaton is just such a good actor. You could literally have him do anything. It can be funny, serious. He really throws himself into it. If he's really into it, he really gets into it and puts his all. And I'm actually looking up because I'm kind of getting angry that I cannot think about something else other than Birdman or Spider-Man that I've seen him in a little bit more. There it is. Let me scroll down. He was in Dumbo, but I didn't see that. He was in American Assassin, The Founder.
Oh, the story about McDonald's.
Yes. Oh, RoboCop. He was in the remake of RoboCop.
Oh,
playing
cool.
like the head of OCP, and he's like the villain. And that movie is a little divisive because it's a remake and it's a whole new take on the character or on the movie and the idea. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not the best, but I enjoyed it. And Michael Keaton, is a shining point of that movie. He's a villain who's in a suit. And
cool.
And it's perfect because you have the protagonist is the big robot and cyborg dude with guns and almost like pseudo RoboCop Iron Man type stuff. And then you got the villain's just a guy in a suit.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great because
check that out.
Because it gives him a lot of leeway with his character and his character is it's what you would expect to see, very political. You know, he can come off as like very, very genuine, very nice, a good guy. There's other stuff going on. Keaton, I'm super excited for Keaton to be back. I'm super excited
he's also going to be in Morbius.
Vulture. Yeah, they're bringing Vulture into Morbius. Yes, I remember that. But I'm super excited for him to be back, coming back as Batman or at least Bruce Wayne. There's no way we don't get a scene of him in the suit at least once in the movie. I would rather not see it in the beginning and just let it roll and have him be this old dude, old Bruce that can't do it anymore. And in the end, he comes gliding in and he's like, you see him in the 89 suit. And then my table at the theater, when we can go back safely, rises and it breaks because
through the ceiling. It breaks through the ceiling.
And then I get and then I'm a kid again.
I don't know how, but Keaton made my dick bigger.
I did. Thank you, Michael Keaton. You made my dick bigger. But I'm also super happy for Affleck because, as we discussed earlier, things in his life weren't going the greatest, and he kind of just fell back and said, "I had fun with it, but I'm not ready to keep continuing with it because of creative or personal reasons that are going on, in professionally or personally." And now that's kind of washed away, and he can kind of come in freely and have fun with it and play the role that he always wanted to play, and play it the way that he wants to play it, and kind of have some control over like the direction of his character in like in the movie. And super happy for him.
Same. We totally glossed over something that actually kicked off, and I mean, I guess we didn't gloss over it because we've got time to talk about it. They did release a new Wonder Woman trailer.
I watched it, and we got Cheetah, and it looks pretty good. It would have been out already, given for global reasons, but I'm glad that we actually got a little more of a salt sprinkle, because let me just say, and I've said this, I don't know if I said it, I might have said it last week here on the show. I'm interested to see Black Widow, but I'm more interested to see the next Wonder Woman. Because that first Wonder Woman knocked it out of the park.
It's a great film.
And this movie looks like it's going to do the same, but it's going to be in a completely different setting. Removed from the World War I.
Completely taken from her element too, which is great.
And then the trailer, the dude that's in front of the presidential podium, who is that?
Now you got me.
Because he said that he's going to give you, he's there to give you exactly the one thing that everybody wants. And then the scene after that is Diana with Steve. So it's like, is that how they're going to bring Steve into it? It's some magical thing that is going to be explained that isn't natural.
Oh, maybe, or like who? That's a good question. I am pulling the trailer up now to find it. Oh, of course. I muted it the first time and it didn't play. I muted it the second time after it had already played loudly into my ear hole. Great.
There you go. At least it's not like that one week on the show where I tried to play something from Howard Johnson and it was just like, Guam is going to sink. And it was like loud as hell.
And we couldn't hear it at all.
No, yeah. You and Tyler's like, yeah, we don't hear a thing. I'm like, oh, they did. They definitely heard it. Because it almost kind of came off like Cheetah's going to be like the main antagonist, but this guy seems like he could also be an antagonist. Because, and I'm future tripping, and I don't know the story, but what I'm kind of thinking is Steve is back, and they're reunited, and things are like, wow, I can't believe this is the thing. We're back together. I thought I lost you. And by the end of the movie, he's going to lose him again.
It's Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord is heavily in the ethos and mythology of both Wonder Woman and Supergirl. He featured heavily in the Supergirl TV show season 1. But Maxwell Lord is he's kind of like a philanthropist, lots of money. So, and he's also always looking to, figure aliens out. So it's very possible maybe he discovers the technology to bring Chris Pine's Steve Trevor back.
Well, and the thing is, I get the feeling that that she's gonna lose him again, but this time it's gonna be more of a, he's like, it's okay,
Yeah,
you're gonna be okay, and so that way she loses him in a way that then is not as like horrific as the first time that she lost him, And that's if I were writing the story, that's what I would do, because it's gonna pull on the heartstrings. Instead of you be like, oh, I lost him, and oh, I have him back, and it's like, I'm gonna lose him again. But it's like he grabs her, looks her right in the eye, and says, "You're gonna be okay. I love you. I've always loved you. Whatever,
Oof.
And she's like, but I don't. He's like, do your thing. Go do what you do. He's like, you lost me once. You'll never lose me again.
Oof.
Really. Yeah.
Damn, bro.
And then,
one thing I will say I noticed about the trailer that was dope is she uses the lasso of truth to literally grab lightning.
She's web slinging on the lightning bolts.
I was like, holy fuck.
I loved it. I thought it was the most over the top ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I loved it. I'm on board with it. I don't know. I don't care if it makes sense. It just looks cool.
It does look cool. What's interesting too is Steve Trevor returning. He was a pilot in the first movie. This is obviously set a little bit further into the future.
80s.
Yeah. But like, could we get Steve meeting somebody possibly named Hal Jordan as a little teaser for things to come? Maybe. You said sprinkle stuff in. That would be a beautiful little sprinkle. But yeah, I think it'd be awesome if Maxwell Lord is the cause of Kristen Wiig's Cheetah becoming a villain, as well as the cause for Steve Trevor to return, because that would really fuck up Diana once she learned Diana once she learned the truth. As I stumble over my words,
It sounded like you said Dino.
I almost fucking did.
What's up, Dino? And all of a sudden you see Wonder Woman, but it's the raptor from Jurassic Park. wearing the little like head, the tiara or the tiara, the tiara of justice.
There you go.
Outside the Hall of Justice, there's this
other Hall of Justice news that we could quickly touch on. This will take all of 30 seconds. They named the title for the new Shazam movie, Brando.
Yeah.
Fury of the Gods.
That'd be interesting. I liked the first Shazam. I didn't expect it to be good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next Shazam for sure. Especially, you probably are going to have something to do with Black Adam somehow. I mean, depending on how the timeline, I guess, falls, will depend on how they can choose to do this. But those two are pretty interlocked. You would have, you really need to either maybe at the end, if Shazam 2 comes out first, at the end, you maybe bring in Black Adam for like a minute little droplet. Or if vice versa is happening, the Black Adam drama spills into what becomes the next Shazam movie.
Just imagine. Okay, so you build the Rock's Black Adam as being this big anti-hero and all that jazz, and he's big. He's judge. The Rock said he's judge, jury, and executioner. You know, he's not your vigilante that's going to let the bad guy live. He's going to kill everyone that he thinks needs to die. So he's this big, rough, grizzled dude. And then, of course, his history is that he was granted his powers by Shazam. You know? And so he meets the little kid, and you have these interactions between with the Black Adam and the little kid. And you have the Rock and a little, like, it's like the comedy writes itself.
100%. It would be
because
amazing.
then you could have Zachary Levi and The Rock going back, and The Rock's the straight man in the room, and just having him pop back and forth between the tall and little kid. Shazam. like every time that The Rock is about ready to get really mad and punch him, he goes Shazam. He goes back to the kid.
Little.
He's like,
can't punch me.
Can't punch me. I'm a kid. It'd be great. I'm looking forward.
Definitely right.
A lot of great stuff happened this weekend. We had the 2 video games that really got highlighted. The Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, being made by Rocksteady.
More hyped for that.
Being the
personally.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not so sure how much I'm hyped for it, because I watched the gameplay of the other game, which is Gotham Knights, and it's not. Gotham Knights is being developed by WB Montreal. They're the guys
They did Origins.
They did Origins. And the gameplay is more similar to the Arkham series, but it's not tied to the Arkham series. It's a brand new story where you play as one of the 4: Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, or Red Hood, Jason Todd. And you can play the whole game single player or 2-player co-op.
That's amazing.
I liked that a lot. And Batgirl plays a lot like Batman from the Arkham series, so you feel kind of more at home with her. Robin, he has a thing with a Wayne satellite where he can do short-range teleportation stuff.
That's cool.
And they each have different things. Of course, Red Hood's got the guns and all that kind of stuff that he's rocking with.
Nightwing's the baton badass.
Yeah, and the gameplay section was like a 7-minute gameplay section, and during the Mr. Freeze arc of the game. So it's pretty interesting. The Suicide Squad looks cool too. I'm not saying it doesn't. That also has 4 playable characters: Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and then of course
King Shark.
King Shark himself. Now we're all about the King Shark this week, but shout out to our homeboy,
Ty, we missed you.
Ty,
but
and of course the Juggerduck.
That's all I want. A Juggerduck v King Shark book.
Oh man.
I'm there for it.
They're head to head. He's like, It's like, you won't beat me, Duck, and the Duck just goes
Whack.
whack.
Yes, I love it.
No, super excited for those games. I want to say that Gotham Knights might be coming this year or early next year.
It did at the end of the trailer say 2021.
Okay, so
probably early next year.
But it was slated for this console generation as well, PS4 and Xbox One. It will be out on that as well as the next gen. The Rocksteady one, the Suicide Squad, is only going to be on next gen. It's not going to be on current gen. So that's going to come in 2022. Now, the Suicide Squad, one of the villains that you face is Superman.
And it looks to me, if I was just quickly dissecting, my guess is Brainiac is the head villain of the game, and he turns the Justice League evil. And each villain is each member of the Justice League you have to one by one hunt and one by one take down and figure out how to stop the Batman and stop the Flash and the Wonder Woman. You know, like that could be a really fun, interesting, different kind of gameplay experience, especially considering you're playing as technically villains.
Yeah, exactly. So super fun stuff there. Is there anything else before we get to technically, I guess it would be the last thing that we're really going to cover?
I have one comic book headline that I can really quick throw to you, and somebody is trending that's, okay. George Clooney is trending. And it's because people literally all over Twitter are talking about how George Clooney was my Batman, and I want him to also be in Flashpoint.
Now, here's the thing. I actually want to give Clooney a second chance.
Sure.
You know, I don't think it needs to be in Flashpoint. I just, sometime down the line, we can have an old man Clooney movie. Because
make him Batman Begins Batman.
He would kill it. Even though a lot of people want Keaton to be that one, why not do Clooney?
Give you something totally different.
Yeah.
And then here's the last headline, Brando. It'll bleed into this next thing that we're going to be talking about because I know what the head story of this whole entire episode is going to be. But John Ridley, who is a acclaimed filmmaker, is joining DC to tell a Batman story. The reason that's a headline is not just that he's a filmmaker going to tell a Batman story. It's that he's writing a Batman story that it's almost guaranteed at this point Batman will be a person of color. They will be giving a new character the cape and the cowl to tell a new story, and that could be really amazing. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
Because I want to first, before I move on, I'm going to say that gets a thumbs up for me. It doesn't
there's not a lot of news to it yet.
No,
but it's awesome.
Like, if anybody, a diehard fan, really gets upset about that, you have to remember all the people who've kind of worn the Batman cowl. It doesn't.
Jim Gordon wore it.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. I mean, he was a robot.
Yeah, Batman's not a goddamn robot, right, Nate?
Yeah, with rabbit ears.
With rabbit ears. And so, no, cool. Like, I'm interested to see what kind of story comes out of it. Let's do it. As I smack my mic. But Nate, do you know who plays King Shark in Rocksteady's Suicide Killed the Justice League? Samoa Joe.
What?
It's on comicbook.com right now. Samoa Joe joins Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League as the voice of King Shark.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. Now I got to watch the trailer again just to hear that voice because he's, obviously in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's why they're announcing it. So now I know, man. Pay attention to that voice.
No, like that. I opened up the thing to make sure there wasn't anything else to talk about, and I'm glad I did because that's awesome news. Like, big, huge Samoa Joe fan, going all the way back to like the mid 2000s and doing stuff that he's done in the ring. But it's cool that he's got a branching out. We don't know who's playing King Shark in the movie yet, but we do know who's
definitely also going to be Samoa Joe.
I'd be okay with that. I mean, he broke in the business with John Cena. Good for him. He's good buddies with him, so why not? Cena's like, I know a guy who could play a shark.
There you go.
Anyway, Nate, are you ready to get in to the last part of this show.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm switching layout here, and I'm not putting the pictures up just yet because we're going to lead into it. Nate,
Do it.
one of the last things that came out yesterday,
The last major headline of the day, technically.
yeah, was this teaser trailer for The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Woo!
Wright. I can't remember his first name. Something Wright. The guy that plays
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. I was thinking Timothy Wright. I'm like, nope, that's not it. And another iffy Jeffrey. Iffy Wright. No, Jeffrey Wright playing Jim Gordon. And of course, this movie's been in production already. I think it got halted because of the coronavirus outbreak. And now we got I didn't expect to see as much as we got from it.
Whole trailer. 2 minute 30.
We're not going to play the whole trailer for you, but I am getting ready to start the slides.
I love how the open up with the logos is to the sound of the tape ripping open.
Yeah.
Which, is incredible. To briefly just like surmise, this was the thing I was most stoked for from FanDome, to see what they delivered. So once we start talking about what they delivered, jazzed. Let me know when you're set.
Yeah. All right. So we're playing. The beginning is the tape, and then we see, No More Lies, the dude with head wrapped in tape, and we see police walking in to that Nirvana song. That comic book's like, what's that Nirvana song?
Something in the Way, for those of you who don't know.
We get to see Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. Is just as soon as I found out Jeffrey Wright, I'm like, yep, he's Jim Gordon. Like,
perfect. Should have been cast as Jim Gordon 15 years ago.
Oh, dude, I watched him, of course, in Westworld, and as soon as I seen him or heard that he was casted, I'm like, yep, he's a Jim Gordon. Like, there's no way that he could not play Jim Gordon. He's great. But what I'm liking about the feel of this, just before we get through any more of this, I mean, the slides are going to just keep continuing to go through for the people who are watching. I love the dark noir feel of this movie.
Gritty cop movie from like the 80s, bro.
It reminds me of the old-timey Batman comics, but come to visual realization. Because if there's one aspect about Batman, all the way going back from the 60s into 89, into the 90s, into the Nolanverse, into the DCEU with Batfleck, detective. How much of that in big screen have we not? We haven't seen detective Batman.
Very limited.
Yeah.
Very limited scope.
They seem to have confirmed who the main villain of the first movie is.
Riddler.
Yes.
Which is incredible.
Oh my god. And I love the way that they do it too, because it's done in classic Riddler fashion. With these clues, he's got to figure it out, and that lends the perfect villain to lead a detective-like story for Batman. Not all Batman stories are detective stories, but when they're good, when they're well done and told, they're great. And he's the perfect antagonist for that kind of story.
Absolutely. Also note that I solved the first riddle.
Did you?
What does a liar do when he is dead? He lies some more. It's on the right, or on the left-hand side of that card that you see in the trailer is that riddle. And after like 4 watches, I was like, oh, that's what it says. Okay, I'm going to solve it.
I watched the trailer like 20 times.
Yeah, it's a lot. As soon as I saw that it was in 4K, I was like, bringing out the laptop.
I watched
watching it in 4K.
I watched it again this morning on my TV. And then I'm going to make my wife watch it later.
Wicked.
So, another thing that we got from the trailer. Catwoman.
And technically Penguin, he's in there.
Yep. Yeah, he is.
He is hiding. Also, can I say that I don't know who this guy was, but there is a very burly, bearded gentleman in one of the early scenes of the trailer who's like standing next to a podium.
Yep.
In front of a crowd. And honest to God, I was like, is that Joaquin Phoenix? Like, what? Because it really looks like him. But after like second, third watch, it's not him, but it's someone who looks very similar to like a chubby Joaquin Phoenix.
So I'm not sure who that really could be in the movie. Is that the mayor? Is that the actual commissioner? Is Jim Gordon commissioner, or is he like still kind of rising up the ranks?
Well, from where this is set, I think that we can probably assume he's probably not quite commissioner yet. Gotham PD is set in year 1.
Okay.
And this movie, confirmed this morning, is set in year 2.
Okay.
So Gotham PD will literally be the lead-in to this movie. And so in that show, in the series, this police department's going to be hearing about a vigilante that's taking out bad guys, not sure what to happen. They keep getting leads on these villains. The villains wind up dead or in a predicament, or, you know, captured for them, or whatever it is.
What I'm really liking too is that it was I believe it was George Reeves is the director name, right? Is it George Reeves?
Matt Reeves.
George Miller. That's what I was thinking of from what Mad Max.
Yes, and almost Batman.
Oh yeah,
he almost did a Justice League movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. So Matt Reeves said that the Gotham show, he's going to be heavily involved in helping that along and setting the tone. There's going to be some characters who are going to cross over with people from the police station, or, you know, cops and whatnot, and that it's the Gotham PD is corrupt, and the show's going to focus on that while being a sort of a lead into the movie. And that's a really great idea, because we just had Gotham on air for like 6 seasons or something like that.
It was 5.
5.
Yep.
But so now we're going to get a different one, and it's going to feel completely and utterly different, and it's going to be set in this dark, gritty world of this version. And I like it, especially if they get Jeffrey Wright to go in there and be on that. Like, I'll sit down and watch that. Absolutely. Go ahead. You go.
Okay. All I was going to just say is that the cool thing about having Gotham PD set how it is you're probably going to have the first season end right the same week that movie drops in theaters, or however we're getting it. And then that also means that as soon as Batman has its run and is out, anytime they want to do a Batman movie, they can do 2 or 3 seasons in between of this PD show and keep showing the evolution and changes within this, you know, within the building of Gotham PD and what happens and who becomes more corrupt. And, you know, who do you think is the last stalwart other than Jim Gordon that won't become a villain? And then they do too, you know, and it's like, oh.
Well, and then, like, you know, they already know that they're doing 3 of these. And they already have an overarching thought process. And this is rumor right now, but the rumor is the reason why we're already seeing Selina and Penguin is that they want to dive into this world where these characters are out there and they exist. You know, it's not just, well, this movie, there are these 2 characters, and that's all that we're going to focus on. No, they're all in there. You know, just like how Gotham kind of did it throughout its run, where they highlighted Leo and all that kind of shit. But as the movies go along, they're going to sprinkle a little bit more over here. Second movie going to have more over here, more over there. But apparently, and this is just rumor, in the second movie is where we are actually going to be introduced to the Joker. But he's not the main villain of the second movie. He's the main villain of the third movie.
Smart.
And where you
crescendo with the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's the be all end all of characters for Batman. And you there could even be Easter eggs or stuff in this movie that like hint at it. Just like Batman Begins, just the Joker card, or, you know.
Speaking of the Joker card, I forgot a Easter egg that I saw as soon as I saw the Snyder cut. Go watch it again. Opening scene with Apocalypse. As soon as they show that Omega symbol, a Joker card flies across the screen really quick. It's like a blink and you'll miss it.
But if they know they're going to do the 3 movies, they can already kind of pre-write out or pre-plan either 1 season or like 2 or whatever they're going to do in between, and you could have a season movie, season or 2-season movie, season or 2-season movie.
And then the series can be done. The
A
series
series-
can be done.
Yeah.
And everything wraps beautifully.
And then eventually it all wraps in beautifully onto HBO Max, where it's like when you finish the season, the app will recommend now watch the Batman because you've watched that, and
You finish the Batman. Now go on to season two of
yeah.
Gotham PD.
Yeah, and it's a way to interwove and make a whole like Batman cinematic universe, like the BCU, just like existing in a single place. And you can have, if you have the Gotham PD, you can have other villains that are not going to be in the movies, or maybe they are in the movies, or you can have lesser ones that maybe don't get enough screen time, or like, well, we want to maybe touch on, this guy over here, or like a Killer Croc, or a
Give me Calendar Man.
or Condiment Man, just
True, he's real. He really
yeah,
exists.
Yeah, exactly. Look it up. It's worth a Google. I love that movie. Lego Batman movie. Love it. Also, I'm really digging Teen Titans Go. I'm watching it with my kid.
Great.
Oh my gosh, that movie or that show. And we watched the Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go movie that's on Hulu, and that got me. That got me because have you watched that?
I haven't seen the Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go yet.
Okay, so the two universes meet. Raven's dad tries to revive the other Ravens, the previous Teen Titans Raven's dad, to take over the universe. And then they end up going back into another universe, and then going to multiple universes where they keep seeing other versions of the Teen Titans. So there's like the PG-13 verse where they're all anime. There's the baby Teen Titans. There's the Disney 1920s era animation Teen Titans. There's the comic book. They are literally look like comic book characters with little speech bubbles. Teen Titans. There's the Hanna-Barbera Justice League version of the Teen Titans. Super Friends. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so finally, and it's super rough thing here. Finally, they're able to steal the demon powers from the Teen Titans Go Raven, revive the other dad. He's getting mad at the little cartoon version of the Go dad, and that version of his dad gets mad and eats the other one, and gets double the power, gets double the eyes, double the mouths, double the arms, and double the butts. He has 2 butts, and then they can't beat him. And so then Robin pulls up the thing that they used to go into the other universes, and all the time portals or universe portals up. It's like Endgame, and all the different versions of Teen Titans come out to fight.
Did that come out before or after?
I don't know, but if it was after, it's got to be a little wink to
Wink
it.
and a nod. If it was before, does that mean that Marvel stole that?
Maybe I'll have to look up and see when that came out, because it literally had me rolling. And then, see, when they took Cartoon Raven or Go's Raven power, she became happy, and she's not a demon anymore. And then the other Raven's look, we the only way to get your power back is to break that jewel, and to do that you need my power, so you need to eat me. She's like, why? Well, why? So then the little Go Raven's like, why won't you eat me? And the other Raven's like, because my mouth doesn't animate that big. And then then you have Raven eating every single other Raven like Pac-Man. And then transforms into Super Demon that faces off with the Super Demon of her dad.
That's amazing.
It's super ridiculous. And I loved it. The fact that there's finally a show that my kid will watch and it won't be running around or won't lose his interest, and I can sit there and I'm laughing at certain things because it's meant for him, but there's stuff in there that's it's popping me as a comics fan.
Dude, that Teen Titans Go show is so cleverly written. There's so many brilliant, funny, subtle Easter eggs and things. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but they have an episode with the Golden Girls.
I haven't got there yet.
Okay, and let me tell you how that happens. So they find a ring. It's a Green Lantern power ring.
Oh boy!
And they're doing all the different stuff it can do, and they're like, "You guys haven't seen this thing's ultimate power yet." It's the Golden Girls.
So Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans came out in 2019. The same year.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Now it's a race to see when.
Yeah.
Because April 27th was Endgame. So if it came out after that, it could have affected it. Obviously, that didn't affect Endgame because an animated movie probably wouldn't. But
Well, also, an animated movie might take a little bit longer, just depending on...
it's true. That is true.
Oh, it released in July.
So it came out after. So maybe they snuck that extra little scene in as a
Well,
wink and a nod.
it's the end of the movie. It was a part of the whole plot, so it had to have been in conjunction. That's kind of funny.
Crazy. That's crazy. They tandemly wrote the same kind of movie, totally apart from each other.
And what I would like to do now, guys, we're still going to talk about the Batman trailer. We're not done. We just tangented like we always do. I would love to take the portal opening sequence from Endgame and then add the music into Teen Titans.
That's
Oh, man.
that needs to happen.
Anyway,
it'll immediately get flagged on YouTube, but it
Yep.
needs to happen.
So back to the trailer. We got to see Catwoman, which I really like how they did that. How she doesn't really have her outfit. She's wearing
She was burgling.
She was burgling, and she had her mask on, and it looks like cat ears, but her hair, it's obviously she's rolled up her hair into pigtails, and it's underneath the little ski mask that she's wearing to make her look like Catwoman.
A little bit, yeah.
Really well done. Really well done with that.
Yeah. I love that all these villains are going to be getting like true forms of origin stories.
Sure, because you can bring back, because Zoe Kravitz is playing her, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you could bring her back into the second movie and have her have a bigger role.
And the whole time be a slow building love interest of Bruce.
Yeah, sure.
Which can then ultimately in the third movie, when they're ripped apart, really be a very impactful moment.
So, but going back to the very beginning, when they have the riddle with the card, and Jim Gordon's like, does this mean anything to you? And on the card, it's like, to the Batman. And then he's in the room with them. And in fact, I think he's the one talking at first. It's like, to my special friend or whatever. It's like, who? I think that's Pattinson talking to Jim. Jim's like, no idea.
I need to again, watch it again and again and again and again and again and take everything in that I can, because there's a lot of little subtle nuance and stuff in this trailer. You have, there's a scene where there's a guy that's like, this guy's crazy, and he's driving a car being chased by the Batmobile.
Oh, dude,
that's the Penguin.
I think so, but that new Batmobile, I love it.
Oh yeah, me too.
Tank meets muscle car, love it.
It looks like what somebody who has money but doesn't know a whole fuck lot about cars would make if they could.
Well, it also, to me, think back to some of the early comic versions of the Batmobile and how they looked very just 1940s with the bat thing on top, with like a jet thing in the back. Or look at in the '66 version, it looks very time appropriate, doesn't it? But then when we get to the more modern era, especially with the 89 Batmobile looks completely like, whoa, that's custom fabrication, its own thing. And then it went to the Batman Forever with the skeleton, the Batman and Robin skeleton with a convertible. Then we went from that, like on main screen, to the Tumbler, which is a drivable tank, to a literal tank, and like BVS and Justice League. Now we're scaling it back, and I actually kind of like that, because I didn't dislike the tank era. That's cool. I like the Tumbler a lot. I also kind of like how we didn't change from the Tumbler. Once we established it, that just kind of became his role, and then it makes sense for Batfleck to have a tank. It just, for where he is in his career, it made sense. Just like in the Dark Knight Returns era. But
if you get an opportunity on YouTube, there's an hour-long documentary on the Batmobile.
Ooh.
and it's really good. It's really a great watch. And then, of course, they talk about Nolan, but it's really neat because they talk about how almost all the different designs came to be and where they originated and stuff. And it's a great watch. Absolutely.
I believe every time I see a Batmobile Hot Wheel, I buy it.
Oh yeah.
I believe my kid he's got a couple different versions, but he actually has the Justice League tank one now.
Oh, sweet.
We were playing one day, and I had that and the Halo Warthog rolling with each other. I was like, heck yeah. But I'm really digging that Batmobile. But dude, the build up to these guys that got this clown makeup on, kind of interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're directly related. We don't know that. They just could be crazy gang members, just like that. They exist in Gotham. All right, they exist. Who the hell? What the hell are you supposed to be? And then he brutalizes this guy.
Whoa.
I mean, okay. So the tone of the movie, dark, brooding noir, mixed with that kind of visceral action. And then he gets him down and continues to bash on his face. And then says, "I'm vengeance." My tits flew into the air. Literally. I was that happy.
I just solved a riddle. Another riddle within this thing. So I just freeze framed on this. What does a liar do when he's dead? Haven't a clue. Let's play a game. Just me and you card. That signature at the bottom is a bunch of gibberish, and it's not gibberish. Edward Nigma. The letters, they line up perfectly. EDWARD on the top line, and then
it's coming back up here on the stream here.
Yep.
It's not going to stay around for too long though. There's the lies. I put that up there. Nate can't see any of this, by the way. Only you guys can. Me and you can see it. Nate's over here just freestyling.
Oh yeah.
There it is. There's the card.
I mean, it lines up. So that means that if you could take that and find that lettering elsewhere in the movie, you could kind of have a cipher and know some of the stuff happening before it happens.
Now, I sent this trailer to somebody, and they said it didn't do much for them, and that they didn't like the way Bruce looked in it, that he looked sickly.
What?
I felt like, for this being a young, tortured Bruce Wayne, that it was perfect.
Absolutely. I've seen a couple people bitch about this trailer, but I don't understand it at all.
As I said, I've watched it like 20 times. I really dig it. I was always a defender. I'm going to be that guy. Because think about this. Batman, not even arguably, I'm just going to go right out and say it, is the biggest, most popular, and recognizable superhero ever. You got your Spider-Mans, you got your Supes, now Iron Man, Captain America, Avengers, that stuff's there, and it's big. But for the length of time, Batman can almost compete with Mickey Mouse in terms of if you hand somebody a picture and it has like 5 superheroes on it, who's the one they're going to recognize the most?
They'll probably recognize Batman first.
Yep, Batman.
Superman and Spider-Man second and third.
Then whoever else is on the picture, like, they might not even know who they are. I mean, if they're a fan, they might know who all of them are. And there's more of them out there today than there ever have been.
I found Ratcatcher 1. He's on this picture.
and someone's like, well, first of all, dude, props on the Jugger Duck. Love him. Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, Jugger Duck. Just saying that should be a new movie. I know there's some wires to cross there, Marvel meets
Doesn't
DC.
matter. We'll get those bridges when we need to.
Amalgam Comics. I'm just saying.
Nice, super callback.
All right, so no, we are going to get multiple iterations and reboots of Batman forever and a day. For as long as they're making films, what are we going to come back to? Batman. It doesn't
like
matter.
Bond, bro.
Bond. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're not going to make any more Justice League or any more Supermans, any more Iron Mans. We're going to get more Batman movies. End of story. We got a Joker movie last year. And why is he big?
Good.
Why is the Joker big? Because of Batman. Because he is the antithesis of he's his guy. And whether or not it's a one shot, whether or not it's a multiple, but whatever it is, we're going to be grandparents, old dudes sitting at the nursing home arguing about the 15th iteration of the Batman franchise is still not better than the Keaton-verse, you know?
Could be.
Or like, dude, I don't know, man. That and that Pattinson one that came out was pretty damn good. The new one doesn't really touch that. We're going to get it. So what I'm saying is I was hopeful for this and was a defender because every single time they announce a new guy playing Batman, our minds and our expectations for what we grew up with and what we've enjoyed are saying he cannot do a better job than he did. And that's not fair because we're not even giving them a chance yet.
We got to turn that into, I wonder if he can do an amazing job.
Exactly. You know, the same thing happened with Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. Nobody wanted to follow Jack Nicholson after he did the Joker. Mark Hamill was able to do it because he did it different. But it's a different medium as well. On the big screen, what did Heath Ledger do? Something completely different. And then you bring in Jared Leto. Not fair what happened to him. Not at all. Because
still completely different.
It's still it's different, but we didn't get enough of it. We didn't get to see enough of his character in anything to really form a really hard opinion about it. All you have to drive on is about 10 to 20 minutes of screen time and his look. And you're not going to form a big opinion when Heath Ledger, every time he's on screen in The Dark Knight, steals it. And maybe he's not better than him, but it was different. And you know what? The next time we get a Joker, it's going to be different than the last.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. Everything can be different. I'm excited because now that I've seen Pattinson in the suit doing his thing, I'm even more excited. The fact that he looks a little emo-ish and maybe even like brooding. The next episode of the OGs premiering this week is called Bruce Wayne.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know if you've seen the screenshot or the thumbnail that I made for YouTube.
Yes, I did.
In the episode, we were talking about it. I'm like, I love that face. But that's what he does. And I can imagine in early 20s or mid 20s, whatever it is, man, he's been through the ringer. He's rich, but he's a tortured soul. And so I would like to think that he hasn't quite got that Bruce Wayne mask down yet. How to be that playboy, you know? Because even in the, you know, again, going back to the Nolan verse, when we see Bruce Wayne before he runs off to go join the
League of Shadows.
League of Shadows. Yeah, I'm like the Brotherhood of Darkness. I'm like, who the? I'm like, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Before he runs off to join them, he's gonna kill Joe Chill. Joe Chill, right? Not Chill.
Yes, Joe Chill. No shill on Chill.
But he's gonna shoot him, and he's not that playboy millionaire when he gets back after being gone for all that time. And he's at the hotel and he's chilling with his models. He has that face on, that mask. And if he doesn't have that here yet or have it down or still working on it, I'm going to love that because we haven't got, like, Batman Begins is the closest we've ever gotten to a Batman Year One style.
Imperfect Bruce Wayne.
Imperfect Bruce Wayne.
Because
yes.
he can't have, okay. Thinking about this, like Batman Year One and the PD show into the Batman movie and whatever, it doesn't make sense for him to decide to take up vigilantism and then be perfect at it and do it right the first time, every time, and know how to balance. Listen, a lot of the superheroes that we love, the dichotomy that's amazing about them is how do they balance their identity, their reality or their secret reality to their secret identity and their being a hero. And him, one thing, people said he looked emo. Do you know what? I don't think he looks emo. I think he looks fucking tired. Like he hasn't slept in 36 weeks because he's going crazy trying to stop all the crime in Gotham, and he's only one man.
Yeah.
You know, that was my thought when I saw how Pattinson looked. You know, there was one line in the trailer that kind of popped me a little bit because I was just like, I love how it's subtle, but it's Alfred being the perfect guide, talking about like getting a little popular out there, aren't we, sir? You know, like as he drives the motorcycle into the cave, you know, you hear the voiceover of him saying like, "You're getting
Andy
a little
Serkis.
popular out there."
Andy
Yeah.
Serkis
Oh,
is
yes.
Alfred. I'm looking forward to that. I am. As much as I liked everybody who's played Alfred on big screen, but like, you know, I liked Jeremy Irons for a different reason than I liked Michael Caine. Michael
Well,
Caine.
Michael Go for that reason.
Yeah, Michael Go. You know, Michael Caine was that kind of like big brother. Let me help you out. I'm gonna give you advice and prop you up. Let me tell you this story about this one time. You know, and then Jeremy Irons is the former military medic that we've seen in the comics. The dude is like just he's there to help him out. He's there to look after him, but he's gonna patch him up when he's been beat up. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna work on the car, work on the Batwing or whatever. He's, you know, he's his right hand man, and it'll be interesting to see. I kind of see that also kind of maybe could play out with Serkis a little bit with his style. But I'm also like Serkis is a little bit younger than Jeremy Irons, I think anyway, or at least it appears that way. So
I think he's in his late 40s.
Yeah.
The only thing, as soon as I saw that Andy Serkis was going to be Alfred, for some stupid reason, I just envisioned Gollum in the Batcave.
Master Wayne, my precious, you're going out with my precious car.
Don't get a scratch on my preciousness.
You know.
I'm going now, Alfred.
Goodbye, Master Wayne.
Bruce is taking off and his phone rings and there's a little video screen and it's Gollum again. He's like, I forgot to tell you, Master Wayne, bring home McDonald's.
I was going to say the line, like,
You're taking a sandwich with you? I'll get drive-through.
Oh, that's good.
No, dude.
I love this trailer. I'm just going to say it again.
Yeah, no, the end of the trailer too, like as it kicks in with the logo for the Batman, and then you have like the bat ears coming down from the A.
Yeah.
And then we get like a really good scene, a good shot of the of like the Bat Cave. Which is
seemingly he's talking to the Riddler in that moment.
He could be.
Or he's listening to the Riddler speak.
Now,
Riddle.
is the guy with the duct tape, is that?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So that's the first person you see on screen is the Riddler duct taping these dead guys, but you don't see him in a very bright suit and anything. It's very dark and gritty and subtle. He probably doesn't have visualistics for being this flamboyant, bombastic character yet. And that's what I love about this. They haven't found their identities yet.
And then, of course, we get to see the car drives through what I didn't realize was a funeral because we see a scene later where it looks like he shows back up to that scene as Batman later. And then like there's an explosion because you see the same car that has all the writing on it. There's the explosion and he flies back and you see like there was like a picture for like a memorial service they were kind of having. But yeah, I'm digging it. I love the vibe. I'm now at full attention. For the announcement of it, like it's coming out next year, 2021, with the twos are question marks. Yes.
You are standing at full dandy.
Full dandy over here, my man. Full dandy.
Oh.
Absolutely. But do you have anything else to say about this before we? I think it's about it for this week.
I think we literally covered all of FanDome, unless there's something we missed. I mean, we didn't really talk about like the Flash season 7 trailer. I haven't finished or even started watching season 6, so I can't comment on that. We talked about all the games that are announced. There was a bunch of stuff that was slated when we talked last week. I had talked about the schedule, and a lot of stuff got pushed to another event they're doing. So there's more DC stuff coming. I think in a couple weeks. I want to say it's like mid-September they're doing another thing like this.
Okay.
Probably won't have as big of news, but I'm guessing. Oh, Titans. This is one little headline. Two headlines coming out of Titans. So Titans is obviously, as of right now, a DC Universe exclusive show for that streaming service. A lot of people are fairly certain it'll be an HBO Max show because the DC streaming service is dying. But
well, it makes sense now. You could just plug it into there.
They've cast both Scarecrow and Red Hood for that third season.
Ooh.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, they are taking the gloves off and swinging. And I didn't finish season 2 of Titans. I got right at about midway, and I stopped. I didn't want to stop. I just didn't finish it for whatever reason. So, yeah, other than that, no, I don't have anything else. Brando, do you got anything else to add before we rock out of here?
No, man, I'm just super excited. As I said, this was a weekend, this whole DC barrage of good, awesome stuff. The trailers, the teasers, the announcements is stuff that we just needed as comic book fans, as movie fans. From stuff that we've been thinking about for a while or hopeful about. The Snyder stuff rocked my socks. The Batman trailer really rocked my socks. I was hopeful for that the entire time, knowing that it has a lot of cool guys in it. Pattinson has really worked on his game since he was attached to a series that really labeled him as something that he needs to break away from. And I feel like this, I always said this could be the big role that breaks him away from that, to let him breathe. And because he's been doing some other films and people are saying, that he's really improved as an actor. And,
yeah.
And so far, big thumbs up for me for this whole weekend. And I can't wait for more.
Hell yeah, man. Well, before we get out of here, as always, folks can check out Journey into Comics podcast on the Journey into Comics network. Get us on all the different podcasting platforms: Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Castbox, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. I could go on and on and on for days. Just search Journey into Comics network. Get that one feed, all the different amazing shows on our network. Also, make sure to go over to Game Addicts Podcast, get their show, and have that on your feed as well. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. Brando, what were we going to call this? You said you had an idea for the title.
Okay, so I had 2 ideas.
Sure.
Battinson Begins.
Okay, I like it.
And Battinson Brings It.
I like the first one. I like Battinson Begins.
A little play on, a little bit of play on words, yeah. And
I love it
because I really do think I'm thinking he's bringing it, and everything that I've seen from that trailer, as I said, I've watched it about 20 times. I'm about ready to go watch it once more. I'm gonna make her watch it because I'm digging the vibe, I'm digging the feel, I'm digging the grittiness, I'm digging the gruesomeness of it, and I cannot wait to see more.
Same, brother, same. Well, I think that will officially wrap Journey into Comics 310. Battinson Begins. I've been Nate.
I've been Brando.
And as always, you guys know the drill. Pop your caps back, fill your brains with that shit. Later, guys.
Later on.